Hello, welcome to OCU Now, where we discuss the topics OCU students care about. I'm your host, Jamison Kiefover. Today we will be talking to the Student Government Association presidential candidates, David Hall and Randy Gipson-Black, about what they plan to do as president of the SGA. Stay tuned. Welcome back to OCU Now. Joining us today, we have David Hall and Randy Gipson-Black. They are running for SGA president, so let's hear a little bit about them. David Hall, tell me about yourself, your background, your major, and your platform.
Yes. So, I am actually a sociology and music education double major. Originally, I came here for tuba performance, did a little bit of teaching with El Sistema, and then I realized how much I loved it, became a music ed major. From there, through some advocacy that I do for child welfare and homeless youth, I realized that there's some things you just need to do yourself, and so I hope to later on be in public office. And the best way to do that is find out why people do what they do. And from there, I became a sociology major. From there, I'm now a second-year sophomore here at OCU. Some of my favorite things that I've been able to do here so far was co-founded Ours for Thursday, which actually started the first ever OCU Feeds that has now done about 1,000 meals donated directly to the Homeless Alliance from the student body. With that, we've also been able to match with socks and other apparel for those who are homeless in the city of Oklahoma City. With that, the school has also given me the privilege of being able to do more as a professional, and so I've been able to do things like be a consultant for nonprofits and social services here in the OKC Metro. Lastly, I have actually been Chief of Staff of SGA for the past academic year, and from there, I've been able to do a lot more with student organizations specifically and finding out what they care about, how I could best empower them, and things like that. As far as the platform goes, it's actually been based solely on students. The reason why I say that is because while we might be representatives and whatnot, the thing is that we cannot represent you if we don't actually go out and ask you what you care about. Our platform should not be a reason why you vote for us. That's not how it works. With that, we're also here to work for you. SGA candidates, if elected, will actually be paid to work for students. So it is literally our job to work for you, and it's not your job to come to us, rather it's to come to you. And from there, students have voice that the things that they care about the most are transparency, engagement, and being enhanced as a university as a whole through their culture, whatever it might be. So the things that we will be sticking on as far as what you will see in the future is we will be doing door knocking, including tonight, of students to find out what they care about the most. We will be doing things surrounding Cokes, for instance. We've already found 3 priorities that are more police patrol and security presence. The second being that we would like at least 1 day's notice of extermination along with a consultation prior. And then lastly, we would also like to see the side gates around Cokes fixed. Other things, we would like the university to make its stance on some of the recommendations that were given from the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force. And actually, after meeting with the Black Student Association, they said that they see no reason why the university would not be able to make its stance by midterms of fall of 2017. So being able to see something as soon as that is very greatly appreciated. And one of the last things, just for the sake of time, the Out of the Box Theater, student organization here, they have some of their members and other students around have had many problems with some of Gold Star. And so what I did last week whenever I met with them was found out a little bit more of the background, because obviously whenever we went to go sign that petition, we read some of the issues, but that doesn't tell us much about the background. Did this just happen? It's obvious that didn't. I then set up a meeting that will take place on Thursday at 1 in Gold Star to do sort of a tour of some of the issues that have been had. And already Dean Parsons has said that the university will be making some of those changes already, and hopefully actually during the summer.
Great. That is a handful to get your hands on, but wonderful. Randy, tell us a little bit about what you would plan to do and a little bit of background about you.
Well, yeah, as you said, my name is Randy Gipson-Black, and I'm currently a sophomore religion student here at OCU, and I've really gotten to enjoy it, and that's partly to the benefit of being an SGA and being around SAC a lot. Well, I'm from a small town out in western Oklahoma, and if there's two things I really want people to know about me, it's that I'm a very hard worker, and I've got a very strong passion for servant leadership. And I think being from a small town really gave me the tools I needed to be a hard worker, because, you know, if I wanted to go make some money, I'd have to go work for it, and that usually involved long days, long hot days out in the field, working on someone's ranch or farm. And when it came to my passion for servant leadership, I was very involved in the Methodist Church of my hometown, and we had this food pantry that we would do probably once a month, and it gave me the opportunity to really give back to the town, the whole community. And those are two things, hard work and my passion for servant leadership, that I've gotten to bring to OCU with me. And I'm really, really blessed that I've gotten to be involved in SGA for my past 2 years here. My freshman year, I got on student court, and it really taught me how to kind of step back from a situation, observe all the information that would be needed to make a decision. It gave me the tools I needed to speculate to future problems, future solutions that I could later use to benefit, you know, people who came into student court, and to hopefully benefit the campus as a whole. When it comes to some platform, one of the things I would do immediately once I'm elected is get a resolution passed through the Student Senate in order to solve the issue of the fading parking spots on campus. Because my time on student court really demonstrated to me that there's a need for facilities and maintenance to take notice of some of these issues that students are dealing with currently. And a big issue that I saw in student court is that these students were getting ticketed for parking in places that you couldn't really see the lines in, and that was very concerning to me, and that's something that I've promised I'm going to address immediately. And so hopefully we'll have, when we come back in the fall of 2017, we'll have these new parking spots, and I think that would be great, because maybe students would stop getting ticketed there. Also, when it comes to student-led movements, such as the theater petition and the recycling bill, I would really hope SGA, and I would really hope that organizations and students themselves would realize that SGA is here to benefit them. They're here to work for them, as David was saying. We want them to realize that they can come to SGA for promotion, funding, or whatever it may be, because SGA is here to back those student endeavors, because SGA should be used as a platform for students to have their voices, ideas, concerns heard at the highest level of OCU administration. And ultimately, I just want people to realize that SGA is here to serve them.
Awesome. That's wonderful. You both seem very qualified, that you've been a part of SGA for a while, at least 2 years for both of you?
So I was actually in SGA, this is my first academic year. Prior to that, I actually worked kind of on the, I guess you could say more on the sidelines as far as being involved with SGA and some of the endeavors that have been had for actually this year.
Awesome, that's wonderful. Well, first I want to know, both of you guys mentioned the Gold Star building, students, what they care about. So what you told me the first thing that you would do is the parking spots. And that, how long would that take? And then what would you move on to that you would really want students to benefit from?
Well, I've already had a meeting with the Assistant Dean of Students, Leslie Black, and we've discussed a kind of a game plan about how to get this ball rolling. And it would be done by the end of summer. I'm not sure, it's just when they would get around to it, but it would be done by the end of summer, to where students would be able to come back and these parking spots would be ready to go. And that's something that would benefit the campus entirely, in my opinion.
Wonderful. And so after that, next fall, fall 2017, what would kind of be your first initiative as president of getting the ball rolling?
Yeah, well, a very long-term endeavor that I'm really excited about is actually getting a DUDL expanded. And I've had meetings and several conversations with Josh Hall, who's the operator of the DUDL Fitness Center. And there is a very specific, detailed plan about how a DUDL would be expanded and the amount of money needed. However, whenever prioritization happened a few years ago, which is when the school had a bit of a funding issue, there was this very large, very obvious need for a DUDL being bigger because it's already very cramped. And even though a DUDL was at the top of the list to receive more funding, they didn't receive any of that funding. And so therefore, that's another thing I would like to revisit with the school, because it's something that students are concerned about, and something that I believe, if acted on, students would actually benefit from that.
Wonderful. Is that our only workout space on campus for students?
Yes, currently for all students who can go there, yes, it is.
Okay, wow, yes. So following that up, what would you like to see done, and what would be your biggest initiative as president for ending the year and then also starting fall 2017?
Yes, so as I already talked about with the knocking on doors, right? So this started Sunday, and we'll be doing it today as well, really using it more so as a vehicle to start having SGA do that, right? Because this essentially makes it to where we're holding SGA accountable. If they're not coming to our doors, then they're not doing their job. And what I've heard from students is that, for overcommitted university students specifically, is that really the best time is about 2 to 4 on Sundays. So we'll be using that time throughout the next few weeks leading up to finals, because obviously no one wants to be bothered during then. And from there, we'll be finding all the information that students want, using this information that we're gathering now, and then throughout those Sundays start actually targeting students specifically based on the information that we've gathered who would actually be affected the most. And then using that information to actually start our planning for the rest of the year. The platform itself, as far as our campaign goes, has been growing because we've found more information from students. That's how it's been, and now there's nearly about 12 or so things that are on there. Strictly because of the fact that we've been talking to students repeatedly and consistently, and finding out about their concerns. Because really, as I've said in one of the meetings that Randy and I were in, was that there should be no reason why we disagree on any issues, right? If we're for the students, then that should not be the issue. Really, it's about how. So that's how we collect that information. Now, as far as next steps, we will already be working with the university on making those stances. Let it be known of a few of the recommendations that have come as far as student groups specifically, with things like the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, and having the council, which is separate from the task force, work with President Henry and have, like as I said, have the university make a public and official stance, and let them know that we will be working with them to have that happen, because there's no reason why they can't at least say that we will take one of these recommendations by a certain time. That is very minimal. From there, kind of along the same lines, because again, right, we're supposed to agree on the same things, right? With the resolutions, I've actually talked with Ken Williams about a resolution, and hopefully we'll be having more talks with this. But after I talked with Jan Stovall today about ways to have something like this happen that the university itself would not have to pay for, right? Because as he said, we do have funding issues. I'm not going to act like that's not happening. So with these funding issues, that would mean that SGA would essentially have to pay for it. But if that happens, we do have a history of SGA receiving less money over the years. So there's no guarantee that we would be able to do something like that and have it maintained. So the best way to actually have that happen would be to first have the resolution passed to have these bins. Next step would be to actually find, after talking with Jan, would actually be to find a supervisor, most likely Mike or Ruth Sutter, Michael if needed from housing, to then be there to approve any students that would be on that payroll. After talking with Jan, she also said that students who are work study students specifically would be a part of this. So work study students who maybe need more hours could also be on the payroll, but not necessarily getting paid at a regular time. Reason being that many work study students don't necessarily have all this 8 to 5 business hour time. And since recycling is not something that's always going to be happening with every single student that would have these bins, then that is something that can be done and can be possible. And from there, it's just a matter of facilitating. It's pretty simple. With the theater petition, that is something that SGA will simply just put its stamp on and back, and let the university know that we will be doing that. It is, as one of the things that I like to say is that as president, that's simply a title. That's all it is. Any student, even yourself, could go and talk to the same exact people I do. All these people are available to us, and I'm sure many students have also talked to them. All the SGA president position is simply a stamp of credibility for university officials, being that we would have been voted for by a large portion of the student body. So from there, then we can advocate. And if say some students are maybe worried that they would make relationships with professors or faculty or staff members uncomfortable by trying to fight for some of these things through the petition or any other endeavors, that is something that the president can then do and alleviate that pressure and work with these students, so that way they don't ever have to worry about something like that.
That's wonderful. Both of you guys seem like you have large endeavors in sight. But lastly, I just want a brief explanation to the audience and to OCU students of why you are this person. You say that you are the facilitator, you are the one who is making sure that the students' voices get heard without any backlash on them personally, but they still get advocacy towards what they care about. So what makes you the person for this job to be that facilitator? So I'll start with you, maybe just a brief explanation to the students.
Yeah, so actually of the jobs that I have, every single one that I'm actually contracted with actually requires facilitation. It is something that I do on a regular basis, and with advocacy, things like, for instance, being at the Capitol. I have actually, this session, there are 3 bills being presented by Senator Griffin, a policy recommendation and an amendment that are being heard, as I said, this very session. So advocacy is not something that I am by any means unaware or unprepared for. With that being said, many students, especially grad students, right? Whenever I had a conversation last night with a grad student of the music school, he had stated that he had actually felt indirectly excluded from the campus. The reason being was that he just didn't get emails whenever he lived off campus for on-campus events. That's something that's so simple that we can find out. But I like to say facilitator, but more so of structure. So I can be a facilitator of bringing organizations together to talk about some things that might affect them, some things that they would like to be done, facilitate conversations with university officials and the students. But really, to work for the students, the best thing to do is simply just to go right to them, have questions prepared for them to sort of bring more depth to the conversation and find out why does the student actually care about things like this. What is so important to them that they would create petitions like this. And with our minority, graduate, and female population, with SGA, it's not as well represented, and it has had a history of not being well represented. So with that, I've made sure that with our executive cabinet, that if elected, I will be appointing that there is 1 grad student on that cabinet, and then the rest, including myself, will also have. I think about half, half, if not a majority of the cabinet, including Vice President of SGA and Vice President of SAC, who are already in those positions, that will cover demographics that really haven't been there. So that way, everyone from every population can be represented for OCU.
Wonderful. Well, Randy, what makes you the person for this job, and what's going to make sure that you do what OCU students want?
Of course. Well, to me, the office of president is one that should be primarily concerned about productivity, creativity, and sustainability. And I believe that I'm the right person to do that. I believe I can give that office just what it needs in order for students to feel that they can use the office of president as well as SGA as a whole in order to actually have that platform that I mentioned earlier, and that they can actually go on to the higher levels of OCU administration in order to have their concerns heard. And when it comes to a president who is wanting to serve students, that's what David and I are both trying to do here. We both agree on that, and it's something that I believe if the office of president uses that productivity to get students excited about stuff and get students involved around campus, then I believe it's something that would benefit campus, right? And to have a president who's creative would give students the opportunity to explore things that they never thought before. It's interesting that we have this recycling bill because it's something that you would think we would have done by now, but it hasn't been done, and it's great to see that. And as president, I would hope to promote that idea even more. And when it comes to sustainability, the office of president should be used in order to ensure that these actions that we do are to sustain the benefits each coming year. And it's something that we need to build on each time we elect a new president. We should be building on past experiences, past achievements, and past goals, right? And to me, having the ability to work well with SGA and all aspects of SGA as well as SAC and my executive cabinet, that would give me the perfect opportunity in order to actually serve the campus in a way that would have everyone's voices heard, whether it's an individual student, organization, faculty, or staff member. And ultimately, that's my goal here. I want people to have the ability and the ability to come to SGA for those things that they need, for anything that they might be concerned with. And that's what SGA is there for. That's why it's in place.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. That's all we have today for OCU Now. Join us next time, but thank you both for making time out of your busy candidacies to come and join us. To vote for SGA president, you may log on to orgsync.com with your OCU Bluelink username and password, or paper ballots are available in the Involve Center. Voting is open until 5 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, March 29th. Thanks for watching OCU Now. I'm your host, Jameson Kiefover. We'll see you next time.